Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today we're going to talk about Bitcoin in lieu of the move by the US dollar. If you guys like the content, please subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up. Also check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. Let's go ahead and jump in. So when it comes to the dollar, we know that historically speaking, when the dollar is losing value, then Bitcoin is doing relatively well. And we can just provide a brief update on that. So you can see back in 2017, the dollar dropped by approximately 14%, 15% through the beginning of February. And this time was more or less accompanied by a Bitcoin bull market. And we know that Bitcoin dropped below its 20-week moving average at the very end of January. Okay, the very end of January. You know, when we look back on this move, one of the reasons why we may speculate that this is where it did not hold the 20-week was, well, you know, it had held the 20-week many times before. This was the first time it was trying to hold it from a 50% drop. All the other ones were 40% drops. But more than that, what we can say is that when it finally broke the end of January, it also corresponded with the dollar bouncing. Okay, this is where the dollar came and held the line. And this is what ushered in the cryptocurrency bear market. Okay, so we did not turn around until March. And what has Bitcoin done since March? Let's go look. I mean, you guys already know what it's done since March. Bitcoin from the bottom in March is up a modest 865%. Okay, since March, the dollar has dropped 13.39%, but right now it's only dropped about 11%. The dollar bottomed here. If we zoom in, let's get it exactly when it happened. The dollar bottomed on approximately January 6th. Bitcoin had its peak. We need to switch this over to a daily time frame. Bitcoin's peak was on January 8th. So you can see that when the dollar starts performing well, it's not a good thing historically for Bitcoin. And you might say, well, you know, we've just looked at two bullish periods. This was a bearish period for Bitcoin. We know that 2018 going into 2019, you know, it's not like it was fun and games for Bitcoin during that time, right? It was bear market / accumulation phase. Also, in 2014, we know that Bitcoin had a bear market, right? So let's go look at 2014. So in 2014, we remove all the drawings. In 2014, well, this one goes to 2015. Let's pull it up on the BLX. So this was 2014. So in 2014, we know that the dollar was dropping throughout 2014. It dropped Bitcoin dropped about 80%. It also corresponded to the dollar moving up in 2014. From here until Q1 of 2015, the dollar was moving up. The dollar stopped moving up in Q1 of 2015. What happened in Q1 of 2015 for Bitcoin? January was the bottom, and we came down, tested it again, but then we went into a massive bull run. And that massive bull run was accompanied by a decreasing dollar in 2015. It went up slightly. October of 2015, it went up through November of 2015. So what happened October 2015 till November 2015? Well, you can see in October of 2015, the dollar was actually below the 20-week moving average. And then in November, Bitcoin was slightly below it. In November, it did somewhat okay. So generally speaking, these types of moves, right, where it's just chopping sideways, isn't necessarily that bad of a thing for Bitcoin. But the best thing for Bitcoin is when you're watching the dollar systematically lose value. Okay, like we did here, like we did here. If you zoom in on certain periods where it's more or less chopping sideways for a while, we know that we can have bull markets or shorter term bull moves for Bitcoin even when it's going sideways. Because in 2019, we know that Bitcoin went from 3,800 up or 3,100 up to 14K, and during that time period, DXY was going up a little bit, but it wasn't making any major moves. So if it's more or less range bound, it doesn't necessarily stop Bitcoin from doing anything, just like it did it over here. When the dollar is going down significantly, like this, Bitcoin is generally going up. When the dollar is going up, like this, Bitcoin is generally going down. Okay, hopefully that makes sense, because you can see here again, Bitcoin was going up in 2018. It wasn't just range bound; it was rapidly appreciating. That was accompanied by a Bitcoin bear market. So you could argue that there is a significant amount of evidence to suggest that when the dollar is going down, Bitcoin will have a much easier time of going on a bull run. When the dollar is moving up, it's going to be much harder for Bitcoin. Now, this is what gives me pause. I put out a video earlier that said, Bitcoin cautiously optimistic. This is one of the main reasons I'm cautious. We've been talking about this for a while. This is the same area that the dollar held the line back in 2018, okay? And because this is where we held the line, this is why we said we need to keep an eye on this level for the dollar. We warned people about it over here back in December that we are approaching that same level. A lot of people were under the impression that the dollar has to keep dropping, and I agree the general narrative would make you think that it should. But remember, markets can price things in a lot more efficiently than you might think. A lot of times, if the news, a lot of people will say buy the rumor, sell the news, as long as it's convenient. But if it means something that you don't want it to mean, then of course you buy the rumor and buy the news. But in this situation, what we want to be careful of is if the dollar continues to move up like this, then it's going to make it very challenging for Bitcoin to continue moving up to, say, this region up here in the short term. We're not saying it can't happen. If Bitcoin did move up into this region in the short term, I would speculate that there's a high probability that the dollar then ended up coming back down. That is what I would guess. If Bitcoin is somehow able to move back above 42K, head to 50K and higher, then I would speculate that the dollar would likely not be doing that well. However, if in, say, a few months we look back at the chart and see that the way that the course that Bitcoin took was, instead of going up like that, if instead it, say, went down like this, back to, say, the 20-week moving average, then I would speculate that if we were to go look at the dollar chart, that we would see the dollar continuing to go up. Now, a lot of this might not make sense to people, because you might think, well, why would the dollar go up? They're printing it every, they're printing trillions and trillions of this, and so why would it go up? Remember, markets will price things in. It's not like you actually have to print it for the market to price it in. So hopefully that makes sense. And I mean, so far this is a key example of it not respecting what the general narrative would be. Remember, if all traders had to do was go off what narrative made the most sense, then it wouldn't nearly be as difficult doing these short-term trades, because it would just be so obvious, right? Oh, the dollar should go down because people are, the government's printing money. Therefore, you make the trade. It doesn't work that easily, right? Markets are efficient. Markets will price things in. So, with that in mind, what you need to be cognizant of with this move by Bitcoin is that if you're wondering, is Bitcoin going to have a chance at getting above 42K and continuing the run? My contention is that there is a chance that happens. There is a chance it happens, but in order for it to do that, the dollar has to stop showing so much strength, because right now it is showing a lot of strength. You can see this is the level we were at in the past. It might be an interesting level to watch. This is where we bounced at this point. This is also where we bounced right here. So if we end up, say, getting rejected and coming back down, then Bitcoin may re-enter price discovery mode and continue higher. However, remember, if the dollar just ends up chopping sideways for a while, then it's not necessarily as clear as to what Bitcoin's going to do. The main thing we know is that if the dollar is moving up rather quickly, like here in 2018, like here in 2014, it's not good for Bitcoin. If the dollar is moving down quickly, like here in 2017 and here in 2020, it's good for Bitcoin. Right now it's moving up. Make sure you add DXY, the US dollar currency index, to your watch list to see where it goes over the coming weeks. As a reminder, we have the premium list altcoin season sale. Check it out in the description below if you're looking to get access to the premium content, weekly reports, weekly videos, a Telegram alerts channel, a risk dashboard, premium only live streams, and more. Make sure you check out the link to the sale in the description below. This is the time to sign up so that you can lock in the lower rate. Remember to subscribe to the channel at the very least. Give the video a thumbs up. Turn on your alerts. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you next time. Bye.